Pirelli GT4 America started the weekend with a barn burner of a race yesterday, and they return with all 3 championships still in the balance with 3 races to go in the 2024 campaign. Welcome to Barber Motorsports Park down in the deep south of Alabama. My name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside, and it's Amanda Busick down in the pits. It's a pleasure to have your company on a beautiful day. And it's almost time to go GT4 racing once again. 3 different classes, Silver, Pro-Am, and Am. So much drama during the course of the race yesterday. And who knows what's in store for us today, Calvin. This series always is must-see TV.
It really is, and this racetrack has proven over the course of the last couple of days that it races really well. People said we love driving here. Not sure there's that many overtaking opportunities. Well, guess what? These drivers yesterday found a way.
Yeah, forget that. And we've got a mixed-up grid here from yesterday as well. A number of cars that did not have good results start up towards the front. Others that, well, had good days yesterday. They've got some work to do here today. Mentioned the weather conditions, and it is very, very nice. Just a few clouds floating overhead, a light breeze as well, very wonderful temperatures, and the fans are enjoying it too. It's been great to see the sports car racing fans come out to Barber Motorsports Park here this weekend, enjoying the fan zone, all the activities, and this wonderful facility that George Barber dreamed up a couple of decades ago. It was a big day yesterday for Auto Technic. They had not been to victory lane with their duo of Zach Anderson and Colin Garrett since the season opener in Sonoma, but that ended yesterday, Amanda.
Yeah, you'll see that BMW in the third row kicking off this race, and the co-driver Colin Garrett with that win for the first time since Sonoma, as we talked about yesterday at the Podium celebration. How does that re-energize this team, Colin?
It's pretty big for us. You know, like I said yesterday, we've had a pretty long year. We've had a lot of good runs throughout the year, and definitely a lot of missed opportunities. So to be able to capitalize on yesterday, obviously Zach put in a phenomenal performance there in that second half of the race. I struggled a lot in the beginning there on that start, and I was just trying to kind of recover the entire time. But you know, when we came in on pit stops, I felt like we came out in a pretty good spot and were able to jump a few cars. So like I said, Zach put in an incredible performance, and we're ready to do it again today.
Based on all the action that we saw on track yesterday with this class, what are your expectations for today's race?
Probably a little more of the same. This place is kind of terrible to pass, but obviously Zach made it work. It's a fun place, but it's definitely incredibly hard to really just race cleanly. So we'll see how it goes. You know, it's GT4 racing, you know.
It's time for race number 2, guys. I think you will hear some of these cars fire here shortly. I do want to do a quick little ad on Matthias Leist and Tyler McQuarrie. I was talking to both of those guys prior to this race on just what happened on track yesterday. Tyler McQuarrie did a little love tap, as he called it, to Matthias yesterday after the race to kind of show displeasure for some of the on-track action. Both of the guys had talked, and Tyler McQuarrie said they're all good and started this race. Tyler right behind Matthias as we kick off this race.
Yeah, Matthias on the pole here, the ex-IndyCar driver in car number 89, that Mercedes front and center as we get ready to go. It was a great day yesterday for Colin Garrett. Hey, his West Virginia Mountaineers, they crushed the Great Danes of Albany yesterday. Plus, he got the race win. What more can you ask for?
Yeah, special day, and I think Amanda was spot on there with re-energizing that team, feeling that they have hope in this championship still. You know, Zach Anderson, starting on the third row of the grid, is going to have to make some really special moves, but he is certainly capable. I tell you what, some of the moves he made at VIR and here yesterday, pretty top draw stuff.
Yeah, Colin said, hey, this place is tough to pass, but Zach Anderson put line to that yesterday. Some of the places we didn't know you could pass, but Zach Anderson proved it was possible. He will start that car from the 5th overall position and 3rd in the silver class. It's an interesting mix as ever when we talk about the different classes, Silver, Pro-Am, and Am. They're all mixed up together. All of them have their own battles, not just for race wins, not just for podiums, but this weekend, we're talking championships, Cal.
Yeah, we certainly are, and I think there's a chance that Kurt Swearingen and Kai Van Berlo can clinch here today. They're 55 points in front right now of Gray Newell and Roman DeAngelis, with Gray Newell dropping back there in the late going yesterday. They did have the lead of the race initially on debut with that new Aston Martin GT4 Evo. So essentially, if Swearingen and Van Berlo beat them here today and maintain 50-plus lead going into Indianapolis, we could be crowning another championship duo here this afternoon.
The other 2 classes, it's very unlikely likely they'll be settled here today. Let's talk starting grid. Mateus Laced on pole position for Rintec. Tyler Gonzalez, another front row start for Smooge Racing. He'll have Corey Lewis as his teammate once again this weekend. Tyler McQuarrie trying to put yesterday behind them. Unfortunately, he and James Walker were eliminated from championship contention with their late race contact with Laced yesterday. Kenton Cook starts alongside. Zach Anderson, Kai Van Berlo. That is a very talented third row of this grid. Josh Green, ex-open wheel driver, has some Indy Next experience at this track. Starts 7th next to Matt Million from Autotechnic Racing. Row number 5, Jonathan Neudorf, the Canadian, next to Michael Cooper from Black Dog Speed Shop. A couple of Nissans in the 5th row of the grid. John Capestro Dubets, a little bit out of position down in 11th. He'll be coming through the field. He'll start next to Jake Cowden, the Canadian, for JMF Motorsports in 12th. Jason Hart, great to have him and Matt Travis back doing a one-off here this weekend. They won in class yesterday next to Danny Dzelski for VPX Motorsports. That's row 7. Row number 8, Tom Dyer, Flying Lizard Motorsports, and the AM class pole sitter is Jaden Lander. Jaden and Rob Holland taking control of the championship here in recent weeks. Keep an eye on them. Dario Capitano making his second start of the season. First was yesterday for TPC Racing next to Austin Crines. That's the 9th row. 10th row, Alevon Goulart for Tech Sport Racing, the veteran next to another veteran. These two have raced together a lot. James Clay for Bimmer World, a winner yesterday. In row 11, Rodrigo Baptista. That car was on the podium yesterday. It starts all the way back in 21st. Lee Carpentier for Nolda Sport will start their AM class entry in 22nd overall. Then in the 12th row, Hannah Greenmeyer for Heart of Racing and Chris Walsh, who just sewed up a TCX class championship a few minutes ago. He'll start 24th here in Pirelli GT4 America. Chris Wilson in the title hunt in AM for Random Vandals Racing, all the way back in the 13th row next to Gray Newell, who had a run inside podium contention for a lot of the race yesterday. Anthony Geronzi from Krug Speed and Alex Vogel from the P1 Group starting in the final row of the grid. 28 cars in all. Any manufacturer you've got an affinity for, chances are they're represented on this grid. It's some of the tightest racing in road racing that you will see in North America. Pirelli GT4 America, this season in particular, just doesn't disappoint. 1 week after the next, it seems like the competition is as fierce as can be.
Yeah, and I think importantly, a lot more green flag action this year than we'd seen in previous seasons. So I think the race stewards have done a great job of kind of laying the law down a little bit, keeping the racing a little bit cleaner. It's still some argy-bargy. We have those frantic moments. You're going to have that with multi-class racing and the competitive nature of this field, but it's certainly been a great season so far.
Possible issue for Jonathan Neudorf. That car did have a technical problem yesterday and retired before the halfway mark. So we'll keep an eye on that, but here we go as the pole sitter enters the VP acceleration zone. Mateus Laced in that red Mercedes has the Supra of Tyler Gonzalez starting alongside. It's a pretty even getaway between the front row drivers, and it's 3 and 4 wide further back in the pack. That's a big move from Capitano in the TPC McLaren. Everyone's safe and sound through the first quarter for now, and it looks like Smooge Racing will go to the point. Great start from Tyler Gonzalez.
Yeah, really brave move there around the outside of Mateus Laced there through turn 1 and hangs on to that lead as they got into the brake zone for turn 2. Look at this field spreading out wide. Kenton Cook there making some early moves there, gone from P4 up to P3, trying to make a move on Laced as they come off of the hairpin there at turn 5 and accelerate down towards turn 8.
This is his warm-up act today. Kenton Cook will be in the Fanatec GT race coming up at 2 o'clock this afternoon. They're still side by side, and Laced really has no recourse. He has to give that position up. Kenton Cook up to P2.
Kai Van Berlo there in the mix. He wants to keep his nose clean here today. If they do that, they could seal a championship. That may thwart his aggressiveness here a little bit.
This is Van Berlo, the Dutch driver, now lives in Tennessee, attends Vanderbilt University. Mateus Laced under pressure from Tyler McQuarrie. Whoa, big move from Anderson, and he does collide with the points leader. And contact as well. Multiple cars involved in this, including several points championship contenders. Heavy impacts further back, and that will surely bring out a safety car.
Wow. Just as we talked about Kai Van Berlo keeping his nose clean on the way to potentially clinching the championship, that has turned that all upside down. They will not score points here today.
Well, some of the cars involved include those going for titles. We saw it was Anderson that, to my eye at least, initiated that contact. He's involved in a championship battle in silver. We talked about Van Berlo. Looks like their day is done. This car was on the podium yesterday. Rodrigo Baptista, heavy damage on his Nissan. And I do believe the two-time and defending AM-Class champions were caught up in that too, quite possibly with James Clay. Wow. Chaos on the opening lap at Barber.
Yeah, I mean, there's just some drivers there who have been super forceful, and I think the championship picture has really ramped the intensity level up here. We talked about what's been a really solid season of green flag racing. But I think a number of these drivers recognize it's moving day in the championship. They have to make something happen, and the elbows were out early there on that opening lap.
Well, primarily our thoughts are with the drivers involved. Those were big impacts. Number of cars into one another, into barriers as well. Once we know everyone is all right, then our thoughts will turn to the impact this could have on the championship. This is Dario Capitano. Got this opportunity to join TPC Racing here. Just shakes his head, not much else you could do. Super experienced driver, but he's not been racing a whole lot in recent years. This was a big opportunity for him to showcase what he can do.
You can see the frustration there immediately with the hand gestures. Yeah, when the field is so close, particularly on the opening lap, there was just nowhere to go for a number of the competitors, with Kai turned there in the middle of the racetrack.
That is what's left of Rodrigo Baptista's car. Capitano up on the pit box, gloves in hand. Got this call up to join Alan Grossberg in this beautiful McLaren. Well, it was beautiful. It's now decidedly secondhand. Got the field very slow here, working its way through the accident zone, as you would imagine. Safety crew already on site. Some of the recovery vehicles are en route. This is Black Duck Speed Shop. Michael Cooper caught out with nowhere to go. He and Tony Gaples have had some good pace this year, but not all of the luck, unfortunately. Well, who else has come through this in a good position? Matt Million got a great start up into 7th. Jason Hart cleanly through. He's in 8th now overall, 4th in class. Jake Cowden as well. John Farrow's team inside the top 10, able to avoid the chaos that erupted in front of him. Chris Walsh, by the way, finds himself leading in the AM class all of a sudden. What a day it could be for Chris. Had a big podium yesterday in Pirelli GT4 America. A win in TCX yesterday, 2nd in the race today, but he did clinch a championship. Let's check in the pits now with Amanda.
Yeah, Ryan, and one of the stories we've been following this weekend in Pirelli GT4 is the arrival of Corey Lewis over to Smooth Racing. Right there, Tyler Gonzalez at the head of this field right now. And when you look at everything that's happening on track right now, what goes through a driver's mind in these moments?
Yeah, it's a little bit more madness than I think we intended it to be, but Tyler's been a wheelman all weekend long, and we've done a great job to get out front there early on, and the Smooth Racing team has done an awesome job. Toyota Supra GT4 Evo has been strong here, so hopefully we can finish a few places higher up than we did yesterday, but all in all, a solid weekend for us here, and we just got to keep our heads down and avoid what else is happening out of our control.
After the race one yesterday, early impressions of what your expectations are?
Well, we hope to be a few places better. Let's just call it that, right? Still a long way to go. Anything can happen, as we see. There's always a lot of excitement in these GT4 races, and I honestly have a lot of fun driving these cars again. So it's great to be back in the SRO paddock and to be with Smooth Racing, Toyota Racing, and our Toyota Supra has been quick. So grateful to be here, and hopefully we can do a few places better in today's race.
During the race, we'll show data and graphics on breaking down the sector times for individual manufacturers. When you look at the Toyota here and the Supra, is there a part of Barber where it really just sings for you?
Yeah, honestly, we make up our speed in different ways compared to the other manufacturers. Our cornering speed seems to be our strong suits, and then under braking too. So straight lines, we lack a little bit compared to the other manufacturers, which I think we saw a little bit of that yesterday, but that's what makes this type of racing exciting. So it's fun, can't complain, and let's see what we can do for the rest of the race.
Good luck today, Corey.
Thanks, man.
Big mover in the opening lap there was JCD. We talked about the fact that he didn't qualify that well, down in 12th overall, 4th in silver. He's still 4th in silver, but he's got around a lot of those other class cars, Ryan, which is going to put him in better shape once we get set for a restart here. JCD and Eric Filgueras lost a little bit of that championship lead yesterday. Had it trimmed by 6 points, I think it was, to the way they came into the race weekend, but they've also been in recovery mode. They popped a motor here on Friday, had to scramble to find a motor from Porsche and get that installed, but had great pace, but not the end to the race they looked at yesterday, and the starting position today was not something to really sleep well on either overnight.
That's the accident scene, and clearly still a lot of work to be done to clean up the debris and the liquid that was laid down in an incident that involved a fair number of cars, about a half dozen in all. Kai Van Berlo, Josh Green, Michael Cooper, Jaden Lander, Dario Capitano, and Rodrigo Baptista all did not get around to complete a lap. James Clay, I think, also could have been involved in that incident. We do have a look at how this was triggered. This will be a little bit further back. There it is, the red-nosed BMW up on the curbs, and it sent Van Berlo around right in front of this field.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's Zach Anderson, who was coming off a big win here yesterday and getting them back into championship contention. I think the stewards are going to be looking at that and thinking about how they want to handle that situation. We talked about Zach and his ability to make some really impressive moves, but a little bit too aggressive there and using up so much of the curb and getting into the side of him.
Look at it, man, some heavy impacts.
Yeah, that's the 099. That's our AM championship leader. Big Porsche there that was in the middle of that scuffle.
26, Hannah Greenmeyer did pick up a little bit of that incident too. Taking a look at tire pressures on the Heart of Racing Aston. Looking at those involved, though, that had championship aspirations. Certainly, Kai Van Berlo, this could be huge for them. It takes a scenario where they could have left as the champion out of this, out of the equation.
What's happened to Gonzalez here?
Okay, I thought I saw the right rear might have been low on that car, and I wonder if they've had to call him into pit lane. In fact, I see him out our window in the pit lane right now. So from the race lead, Smooth Racing was forced into the pits. We had just a brief look at that car up close a few moments ago, and I thought I saw the right rear down, but I didn't want to cry wolf until I was sure. I think this is all the evidence we need now.
That's such a disappointment. Spoke to Corey Lewis with his teammate, who he said has been really on it here this weekend. He's going to have to go to work now from the tail end of this pack. Had the lead and had to hit pit lane, and we assume changed that wheel and tire. Chris Wilson.
Yep.
Came into the weekend hanging on to that championship lead after a big incident at Road America that took out his seasoned teammate Paul Sparta, the team owner here at Random Vandals. Paul is recovering still. He's here on site, but will not compete again until next season. Chris Wilson had an incident here yesterday, hurt him and his position in points, but if he can continue, get back into the decent points paying positions, it could be a big day with the 099, probably not taking any further action in this race.
Yeah, this car did pick up a little damage. You could see it on the nose. And Random Vandals as a team had a lot of work to do yesterday to repair this car and get it ready to go. We just saw one of their other cars heavily involved in this. Yeah, at any rate, this could break back Chris Wilson's way, although because he is running and the championship leader is not. Did get confirmation from the pit lane, by the way. It was a puncture for Tyler Gonzalez. It takes them out of the lead of the race. It puts the other Random Vandals car, the only one of the three that was not involved in some capacity, into the lead. Kenton Cook, who was a runner-up not once but twice yesterday, Fanatec GT as well as here in Pirelli GT4 America, finds himself at the front of this field.
Yeah, and JCD, who they're chasing after in the championship lead, there he sits, 6th overall, actually 5th overall now with Gonzalez hitting the pit lane.
I think it was 22 points, the difference coming in. This would make it pretty close to even. Not quite, but it would make cut a big chunk out of the...
A 10-point swing, I think. JCD should
Right.
be 3rd in silver, I think, as they run. Cut that 22-point lead down by 10 to 12-point margin.
And what that does then, if it were to finish that way, is wins in both races at Indy would mean that would be enough, right? You could overcome a 12-point deficit if you won both races at Indianapolis.
Yeah, there'd be nothing that the other car could do about it, because it'd be a 14-point swing minimum. But I think it's all going to change.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's a long way to go in this race, but certainly Kenton Cook had a great start there, kept his nose clean. Still waiting to see. I think we'll wait till we get green flag action, and then there may be some penalties come down.
There's a lot of grass on the grill of Elevon Goulart for Tech Sport.
He needs to try and find a safe place on the racetrack, hit the brakes suddenly, and try and dump that. Otherwise, he's going to have to hit pit lane. There's no way that engine's going to survive with no air getting to the radiator like that.
Yeah, even on a relatively cool day like this, 70 degrees ambient, you need that
Plenty
cooling.
of front downforce, but should cure any understeer he may have.
Well, that's true. Hopefully the team has noticed this and can pass the message along if Elevon's not already seeing elevated temperatures on his gauges.
Be surprised if he isn't.
Well, again, just under yellow here, first lap incident that involved 6, 7, maybe even 8 cars, possibly more than that actually, when you factor in those that just got damaged. You throw in Tyler Gonzalez, who I'm going to suspect might have picked up a puncture while running through the debris field. Cost him the race lead. He's all the way at the back of the pack now.
Took out 2 of our championship leaders.
Did indeed. Kai Van Berlo, Jaden Lander both eliminated after both had really solid days yesterday. There's a look at the cleanup, admittedly a hazy one. That continues. Looks like the cars have been cleared away. That's good news. But still some debris, some liquid, and maybe a few more cars yet just to the left of this shot.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little while yet. Then we're going to be starting getting close to the pit stop window.
Yeah, that's true. Let's talk pit stops and rules and regulations here in Pirelli GT4 America. This is a different year in terms of rules. The mandatory pit stop window is gone, replaced by drive time rules. And we will be getting awfully close to that window opening up for teams to make that pit stop early if they want to.
Yeah, essentially 36 minutes and 19 seconds left in this race is when that window would open, where you'd come down pit lane, serve the 79-second minimum stop time, and then not have your second driver exceed 35 minutes maximum drive time.
Here is your leader in AM, Chris Walsh. What a day this could be for him and for Nick Shanny. Chris joined Nick in this championship about midway through the season. Change of co-drivers there, and it's a great show of faith in Chris's talent. We've seen him all season long, winning races, ultimately today clinching a championship in the TCX Championship in TC America. But to get the call up to join one of the most competitive GT grids on the continent, that tells you exactly what you need to know about the way this Carrascalis team thinks about the talent of Chris Walsh.
Yeah, a lot of belief there, and he certainly delivered with that championship being clinched here this morning. Got to put those emotions to one side now and focus on the fact you're leading this motor race and just executing here and turning the car over to Nick Shaney in good shape and hopefully with a comfortable lead.
Kitten Cook, the overall leader. That's a silver class car, this orange and white machine, number 97. Mateus Laced in second. Leader in the Pro-Am class. That's the pole-sitting car that got swallowed up a bit on the start. Actually was back as far as third. They get back to second because of the misfortune for Smooge Racing, having to come in and make that tire change for the puncture.
Yeah, it looked like Lace was struggling to get the car up to speed. We've seen that here at this racetrack. It seems like some manufacturers, some teams with their starting tire pressures and stuff and get the energy into the Pirellis and get the speed there immediately. Other drivers are struggling, and then their cars should then come into its sweet spot a little bit later and pay dividends then. But if you've opted for that, it's not ideal to be sitting here behind the safety car. We talked about the earliest opportunity to pit. The latest that any of these pro drivers could stay into would be 25 minutes left in this race. We're essentially 17 minutes away from that point.
Doesn't look like there's going to be a ton of green flag running for these first drivers, unfortunately. Either way you cut it. A lot of time running behind the safety car, but I suppose there are worse tracks to do that because you could look out your window and see some interesting things around this place. Sculptures, landscaping, you name it. Everything from Yetis to giant spiders.
See all this smoke? I think this is some of the cleanup that's taken place on pit lane. We saw a lot of cars coming in with fluid dropping, so they certainly want to get that situation cleaned up as well. It'd be second priority to the racetrack, but they'll put that dry down and then that'll get blown everywhere, as you can see the safety vehicle coming down pit lane.
And that will need to be taken care of before the race can resume because we're so close to the pit window. Again, if you're just joining us, we've been under the yellow flag nearly the entire first 19 minutes here at this race. Opening lap incident that involved, I'm going to call it 8 cars, might have been even a couple more that at least picked up some damage, but it looks like several will take no further part. Rodrigo Baptista, Jaden Lander, Michael Cooper, Josh Green, Kai Van Berlo, Dario Capitanio, and James Clay appear to be done for the day. 7 cars right there. I know that Chris Wilson picked up some damage, as did Hannah Greenmeyer, and Tyler Gonzalez, who was running out in front at the time, picked up a puncture on one of these pace car laps.
It's going to be a big day, though, for Chris Wilson, bouncing back from yesterday's drama.
Indeed.
With James Clay getting involved, and certainly the championship leader who seems to be out of this race.
And that is a big development. The lead was narrow coming into today, just a couple of points, 3 points that he held over Lander and Holland. And then Postins, Clay, and actually Nick Shaney, I think, was right there on that same points level, 131 points coming into today, 39 back. So they could make up, or Nick could make up some ground depending on where he finishes with Chris Walsh. Definitely a day that could see these title battles shake up. And that's a good thing for some, not a good thing for others. We mentioned the sculptures around this place. This is the reason Turn 5 is known as Charlotte's Web. Often they have a spider web painted, actually, under this spider here. The iconic sculptures around the track. Got Buffalo as well. Many of these sculptures, by the way, were done by artist Bill Secunda. A lot of the dragonflies. This is the now world-famous Georgina, who made an impromptu appearance on the racetrack during the IndyCar race here earlier this year, to the fright of several, And to the delight of others, it was a bit of a comical moment. These are the dragonflies I referenced. Just a beautiful part of the track here. Just across from the museum, you've got a pergola up the hill as well. Kind of gives the impression of a Greek park. This guy's doing some hard work keeping the bridge upright. Thanks to him for his efforts throughout the weekend.
So unique, just beautiful facility. Stood here this weekend and just reflected on it. Just seems like it's still state of the art. It's now 21 years since it opened here, and they just had such forethought to think about what was needed to make this a first-class facility for decades to come.
Work continues as well with the motocross facility going in that by all accounts is going to be world-class. And George Barber, who dreamed this place up, he still, we're told, has at least one other major project in mind that he's not willing to tell anybody about just yet. So let your mind race and wander a bit. But a big thank you to George for gifting the motorsports community with this place. It is so special and has become a fixture on many racing calendars, even though it was built with motorcycles in mind, designed by South African track designer Alan Wilson, who designed places like Utah Motorsports Campus, NOLA Motorsports Park, the Thermal Club, and some other smaller tracks too, like Autobahn near Chicago or Gingerman up in Michigan. This might be, at least in North America, his magnum opus. Report from race control is the pits are open again. They were closed while the cleanup process was underway. Initial indication is one more lap behind the safety car. Are we yet in that window? Could teams pit
within
during
20
this?
seconds. I mean,
Yeah.
36:19 is the number.
So for the second straight day, we might see yellow flag pit stops, which is a bit of a rarity in this championship.
This is going to be tight because if you're at the tail end of the pack, okay, well, I'll tell you what, if you're at the tail end of the pack, this is a great move here. I think this is the 47 car. I like this move because you're going to get this stop done under yellow. And he's just on the right side of that 36:19 number, so the leaders couldn't do it, but someone deeper in the pack, and I think they've seen the loophole. Not a loophole, but taking advantage strategy-wise to jump in, serve their mandatory driver change, and everyone else is going to have to do it on green if we're going back to green flag racing here, which costs you a lot more, of course.
Exactly. A change in the rules a couple of years ago is looming large right now. It used to be, back at the inception of this series, that the race leader was obligated to get the first crack at the pit lane, but that was taken out a few years ago. And now with that pit window of a set amount of time,
This could be huge right here for this group because they're knocking on the door of getting back into championship contention.
Yeah, this works out great. So they run an alternate strategy too in the Pro-Am class where they have Gray Newell, their AM, start race 2. This means they're putting in their ace, Roman DeAngelis, up against a majority AM field in the AM Pro-Am class, and they're going to get the benefit as well of having made this pit stop under yellow.
And the championship leaders are out, will score 0 points.
Now we're hearing that race control has decided to extend this yellow one more lap. That now gives the rest of the field that, because of the time being where it was, a chance to pit under yellow if they want, but that still works out great for these cars.
Yeah, it really does, because their speed right now is not arrested by the safety car, so they're going to whistle around this lap and catch up the pack, whereas everyone who now wants to come into pit lane, their ability to get to pit lane is being controlled by the safety car. So that means that the teams that have pitted right now will have an advantage over the teams that pit on the next lap.
And the strange nuance to this is the fact that the front runners simply couldn't take that opportunity, because if they had, they would have run afoul of the maximum drive time. It actually is one of those rare cases where running further back in the train was to your advantage, and I think everyone has basically seen the same thing we have, and there's no sense staying out here. You might as well get this done
I was going to be curious if there are any penalties to come, and I believe there's going to be one big one for one of the championship contenders. That driver's no longer going to be behind the wheel, so it's going to be his teammate who's going to have to serve it if there is a drive-through of the sorts. The only thing you could have done was come down pit lane and then just lengthened your pit stop. So say you're about 10 seconds out, you could have elected to come as one of the leaders and just stay stationary long enough so you didn't have the second driver get back on the racetrack and exceed that 35 minutes.
Yes, and you can do that if you're stationary in your pit stall, but you can't lollygag down the pit lane at a lower speed. That would result in a penalty, but that's a good point.
I think that would have been the better call. I think you'd have ended up with better track position by doing that. But hard to think on your feet like that when you're right in the moment, like how's it going to play out? Where is the timeline? Where are we? What was the speed of the safety car?
Well, what it's going to do then is everyone basically will have made their driver changes, pit stops will be done. So it's going to be a straight up fight to the finish from here. Busy pit lane with about half the field in there right now. From the lead, Kitten Cook gives up to Kevin Bohm. The rest of the field will sort themselves out. We have word from race control. It will be green flag next time by.
Well, these guys are now got to hustle then to catch up with the pack.
True.
Otherwise, it's going to hurt them even more than just losing the track position. They're going to have a gap as well as car position on the racetrack, but they should be able to do it by what we're looking at here. This is turn 13, and I think they'll probably really reduce the speed of that safety car to allow most of the teams that just pitted the opportunity to get somewhat closer at least.
What is the minimum pit?
79 seconds.
So I'm concerned about Corey Lewis.
I think
then.
that was when they came in. I think that time is when they came in
you're
for
right.
the,
yes,
for the
you're
puncture.
Right. Good point. Now, the first two cars in this line, at least Chris Wilson has not pitted. Right? Well, he has, I suppose, but not during the window. He's not done the driver
No,
change.
he hasn't, which I think is a mistake.
Yes. The second car in line is...
Now he comes.
Well, effectively at the tail end of the lead lap now. And it's Lance Bergstein. Not exactly sure how that happened. But Wilson peels off, the green flag waves again, and we are back racing for the first time in some 29 minutes. Bergstein stays out wide. That's the team car coming through. Krug Speed now being run by the Smooge Racing operation for the last couple of race weekends. It's a new partnership there. And Corey Lewis is clear and through. Heard from him earlier. He is to the lead of the race.
I need clarification because they have stopped twice. We do have a time up there that is way shy, about 3.5 seconds shy of the minimum stop time on our leader now, Corey Lewis. So we thought it was for the earlier stop where they changed tires for Gonzalez, but we'll have to clarify that and make sure they are okay.
Oh, look at this. Demi Chalka's just got a little nudge from behind. That's Austin Krines in the RS1 Porsche, side by side with Tom Dyer, I believe, or is it Todd Perriott? In any case, Chris Wilson. Man, this is huge for their championship.
Yeah, they must have that front end damage. They must have cracked the radiator at least, and he's losing fluid.
Oh, we thought he might be in a position to capitalize for the misfortune of others. Maybe not. Lewis leads the way right now. It's amazing how fortunes can turn so quickly. This car was up front when the yellow came out. Then they got the puncture that dropped them all the way to the back. Now they find themselves at the front again.
Yeah, and again, we do need clarification. They do have a stop time up there that is light in terms of the minimum stop time. We believe it's when they took the fresh tire. But Roman DeAngelis is in great shape here. We talked about the alternate strategy. This worked out perfectly for the harder racing. Can they get back into championship contention here with Kurt Swearingen and Kai Van Berlo not scoring points here today?
And I misspoke. Lance Bergstein not on the tail end of the lead lap. That apparently was for position. So he's the leader in M and finds himself now third on the road. So the leader in silver is Corey Lewis. The leader in Pro-Am is Roman DeAngelis. The leader in AM is Lance Bergstein. Now we've got some penalties coming in.
It's a big one.
Yeah, not unexpected. Car 51 stop plus 90 seconds for incident responsibility. That's effectively for triggering the melee that brought out the full course yellow. And this is Colin Garrett serving that penalty. Let's hear from Amanda with more. Amanda?
Guys, I'm down here on pit lane looking at car number 51 that is serving that stop and go penalty. I actually just talked to Zach Anderson prior to this, and he was talking about the racing that he has done alongside the Porsche the last couple of events, and he said, I hope that me, Colin, Kai, and Kurt can have a conversation after this race. He said, if it was me that caused the responsibility for all of this, I will take that responsibility. I have ruined my stint here. I have taken up half of this race, and I hope we can move past and forward and get back to racing.
Thanks for the update. Yeah. Well, that was a costly one in every sense.
Tell you what I'm looking at here. We talked about Jason Hart hitting pit lane first, the 47 car. They should have been in great shape, but when I look at their pit stop time, they're about 20 seconds outside of where they needed to be, so something had to go amiss there, and that's why they're consequently mired in the pack. They should be right at the front end of this field based on strategy, but they obviously had pit stop execution problem.
Instead, Matt Travis is mired in the pack. Great spot there, Cal. He's got Kevin Bohm behind him. It's one of those cars that was caught out, not in a position to be able to make that pit stop when the window opened for some during the yellow. So Kevin's got a lot of work to do in his stint to try and charge back through. Finds himself 9th overall. He is 3rd in silver, however. Here's Race Vision powered by AWS, looking at the race progression, and look at that chart. It just goes skyrocketing to the top for Heart of Racing. This could not have worked out better for them. And, you know, yesterday it was the opposite, right? They had the yellow when they really didn't need it. Today, the strategy falls into their hands.
Yeah, and for Roman DeAngelis, he doesn't need to pass Corey Lewis. Yes, an overall win is the cherry on the cake, but he's got the Pro-Am lead. He's just got to think about the 22 car of Colin Harrison that sits there in the backdrop there coming through turn 17. So this could be a huge day for Heart of Racing to really catapult them right into championship contention once again.
Right around the top 10. Matt Travis runs 8th. He's just making his way around Colin Harrison. Kevin Bohm next to take a shot at Harrison. Out of class traffic here. Kevin needs to clear all of this. The next car in his class is actually Hannah Grisham, who's all the way up in 4th overall. This is a day where Kevin Bohm and Kenton Cook need to try and maximize their result, because some of the others they're fighting with are not having particularly good days.
Yeah, we're now getting clarification that number 68 pit stop is under review for being about 3.3 seconds shy. We thought it was for the earlier stop, but it does relate to the mandatory stop, so that's going to put Corey Lewis in big trouble. You're only allowed to get that time 10 factor if it's under 1 second. If this is accurate, it'll be a drive-through penalty.
And that drops them back. That would promote Heart of Racing to the lead. And here we go. That was quick from race control. Drive-through penalty. I mean, you really can't argue with the stopwatch there. So the overall leader owes this penalty. That moves Grisham up into the lead in her class, and it moves Bohm into 2nd in the silver class. Here comes the smooch card taking that painful drive-through penalty.
Yeah, so Heart of Racing now lead in Pro-Am and in silver here today. Here's the 24 car, Roman DeAngelis, clean air on the front end of that Aston Martin. Now they are all good to go in terms of their pit stop time, the timing of it, all worked out to perfection.
Yeah, Heart of Racing was on top of their strategy here today. Could not have played this much better with either of their cars. Right now, in position for a double win.
Yeah, that could be huge for Hannah Grisham. She's got a bundle of cars between her and Kevin Bohm, who sits there 2nd in class, so that's going to thwart his challenge a little bit to get back to a battle for the lead in silver.
Whoa, Bergstein goes wide. Sir Lancelot with a wild ride there at the exit of the corner. He still has a big buffer to the next car in his class, though, so he's just got to gather it up.
Kevin Bowman having a really solid run here. Could be a big points day for them.
Bohm to the inside of Travis. Travis wants no part of that fight. Lets Bohm come through. That brings Kevin that much closer then to the leader in class.
Get back to the championship leader, which is Eric Filgaris. He shares the 28 machine with JCD, of course. He sits there in that pack, so he's running third in silver right now and 10th overall.
What a day it's been for Smooch Racing. The swings of momentum for that car. It started on pole, as you see on Race Vision powered by AWS. During the yellow, had the puncture, dropped to the back, played the strategy well, got back to the front, then had a penalty, and now they are mid-pack. All of that, by the way, in about, what, 37 minutes of racing.
Just crazy. Here's Matt Bell on the attack. Great opportunity for him.
Rub there. Bodywork flew off one or both of those cars.
Yeah, these two cars are battling it out, but not for the same class position.
But there is the target for Kevin Bohm. He can see Hannah Grisham, and he is closing in. This is coming hand over fist here. Kevin Bohm clearing the traffic without too much time lost. And the Aston at the front of this train, that is the target for this BMW right here. That's for the win in class.
Yeah, and if he can get around the Aston Martin and get the win, and if Filgaris can't climb any further than third position, that would be a 10-point swing. That would halve essentially the deficit they're in heading to Indianapolis.
Next car in front is Johann Schwartz, having a really good day for Tech Sport Racing. That car retired before the halfway mark yesterday, but they're in second in class right now. Johann sees Kevin coming, gives him plenty of room, but he
Watch Matt Bell.
Exactly, can't give up too much momentum because Matt Bell is coming for position.
Yeah, Matt Bell is in position there to run after Johann Schwartz. He's right behind him here. Johann's got to be really careful how he manages this as they exit turn one.
Matt gave him a little shove down the hill, but Schwartz, he's a drifting master, so he's perfectly comfortable with the rear of that car sliding. Great catch, able to settle back in line. Now this is his battle for second and third.
And you see the yellow and silver NOLA Sport entry. Matt Travis behind the wheel. They should have had the lead based on their strategy, but curious to know what happened during that pit stop to lose so much time, but they're still knocking on the door of another podium, following up on the win here yesterday on their return to SRO competition.
SRO America competition, we should clarify, because they have been running in a GT4 European Series, powered by the Rafa Racing Club. But former champion here is Matt Travis, multiple times over. Same for Jason Hart. Jason won something like 3 in a row with a couple different co-drivers.
Kevin Bohm was really eating into that lead that Hannah Grisham holds right now in the silver class.
Yeah, even in traffic, Kevin's been marginally quicker, and now that he's clear of that traffic, he has caught Hannah, who has a little bit of bodywork damage too. It looks like that diffuser may be hanging loose on the back, or it might just have been the bumper, hard to say.
Matt Bell still looking for a way around Johann Schwartz there, which would be for second in Pro-Am and fourth overall.
Ooh, Hannah goes a little bit wide. The door is open. Kevin Bohm keeps that BMW tucked to the inside line. Grisham gets the power down, gets a nice run out of the Alabama roller coaster, and this battle's not done yet for the lead in silver.
Done a nice job. What does Kevin do here? Tries to run everything out, so he's got to be careful he doesn't have contact, cut down a sidewall on that race car. Got to really be delicate here in how he makes the move.
Oh, this is great. Half a lap. These two have been side by side now, and it's not over yet. Bohm has the preferred line, though, and Grisham has to fall back in line. That's the lead changing hands in the silver class. This could be the kind of day that propels Kenton Cook and Kevin Bohm to a championship this year.
Yeah, Filgaris has done a nice steady job there. He sits 7th overall, still 3rd in class.
Chris Wilson. Or it's actually now Michael Kanishak stuck on the side of the road. We thought they might be having an overheating issue potentially with some front end damage to that car. Man, they can't buy a break the last couple of races.
Yeah, that's not a great spot to have that car sitting. If he can't fire that car back up, we may be going safety car again.
would not be good news for Roman DeAngelis, who has a 12-second lead over Kevin Boehm, and even more than that over the next car that he cares about for a class position, Johann Schwartz, who's back in 4th overall.
Yeah, he's certainly in great shape. I mean, I'm sure he was licking his chops when he saw that opportunity with the pit stop window opening up for them to hit pit lane and taking advantage of that over some of the leaders.
But that car started 26th overall. He's up 25 positions in this race. Still green for the moment. This is the leader in AM. Not sure exactly how the Crude Speed Smooth Racing team managed to pull this one off, but they got that car to the front. And Lance Bergstein giving it a good run, 10th overall right now, with a nice cushion back to Nick Shanny, the next car in class.
Yeah, and David Peterman filling out that AM podium.
Full course yellow has come out. Safety car deployed.
Yeah, you just can't have a car sitting on the racetrack like that. Sometimes I've been guilty of this. You think, oh, you know the car's there, then you get racing and you suddenly come around and you're so focused on the battle that you're in, you may make a sudden move out and that car's just sitting stationary. It would not be good.
Question with that car is, have they gotten far enough in the race to be able to score points lap-wise, considering they've been delayed a little bit? I think they probably have, given the amount of yellow flag running we had early on. And for Chris Wilson, that's a big deal. He was also just trying to score some points here today, take advantage of the fact that Rob Holland and Jaden Lander are having a bad day, but Nick Shanny's in 2nd right now, and he's kind of on the fringe of championship contention.
Yeah, they're definitely working their way towards it, aren't they? Based on a podium run here yesterday, maybe another one here today.
Great work by Amanda in the pits. She just got us an update on the pit stop for NOLA Sport. Evidently, it was a radio communication issue, and Matt Travis didn't hear the word to go.
Oh, I'd have been throwing stuff at the window. You would think that someone would just like use the hand gesture if you needed to. And they also typically have a little monitor on their dash that kind of gives them the green light that it's good to go, so you don't come out too quickly.
It was a quick cleanup, just needed to retrieve that car of Kanishak. And it's right now being pulled behind the wall, so I think that means we should have a restart imminently. Trying to gauge where they will finish in class. I think they still could be in line for a 4th place finish.
Yeah.
That's true. So that's why it was important for them to continue on and at least get to the halfway mark and be eligible to score points, especially in a race with this much attrition. As anticipated, lights out on the safety car. Restart coming up. Top 2 are leaders in their respective classes. They have no fight with one another. Roman DeAngelis, Kevin Boehm, Aston and BMW. Second car in silver is Hannah Grisham. Just lost that lead a few moments ago, but she's going to have a chance to fight back and take it back from Kevin Boehm. Then you've got a dogfight, 4th, 5th, 6th overall. That's all for podium positions, or at least trying to be on the podium in Pro-Am. Schwartz, Bell, and Travis. Don't forget Eric Filgaris. He's trying to salvage something today. Kenton Cook watches on nervously. Green flag waves with less than 15 minutes to go. Final race of the weekend for Pirelli GT4 America, and it's Roman DeAngelis leading the field on the restart.
Yeah, feeling the pressure from Kevin Boehm. Kevin's going to have to keep pushing. He's got Hannah Grisham right there. He's also got to watch in his rearview mirrors for Eric Filgaris. If he can cut his way through that Pro-Am battle right in front of him, he could suddenly start to put the pressure on the silver class leaders here.
Any chance Roman tries to back Kevin up a little bit to his teammate as they fight for a class position?
I don't think he'll play that game. I think it's just too risky. I mean,
Schwartz
they are
and Bell
definitely
side by side.
Yeah, they're definitely in championship contention. I don't think you can play those sort of games. If they weren't in championship contention, maybe, but they want the race win. They want the big points. Don't throw it all away.
Clarification from Amanda. I guess the issue is that the team couldn't hear one another to give the order to go to Matt. Nevertheless, Matt Travis lost a lot of ground in that pit stop when it looked like they had the strategy played perfectly. He's done a good job to recover, though. Just on the fringe of a podium, and he's in the middle of the fight back there, just in the back of this shot. DeAngelis, Bohm, Grisham, 1, 2, 3. Bohm and Grisham fighting for the lead in silver. Then you get back to that battle led by Johann Schwartz, who held on to that position. Second in Pro-Am. It would be a big, big day for Tech Sport if he could hang on.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the math on that Chris Wilson situation. That's going to be tight. I mean, if this stays green, they could suddenly find themselves just shy of that 50% mark in terms of laps. It'll be very tight within a lap or two, I would believe.
On such things do championships hinge.
Phil Filgaris, what does he do here? How aggressive does our championship leader get? Trying to fight his way through this Pro-Am pack. We're talking about our silver class lead, the 28 car of Eric Filgaris. There he is, right in our frame right there, right behind Matt Travis. And he's got 3 Pro-Am cars between he and Hannah Grisham, who currently runs second in silver.
The trouble is, all 3 of them are fighting desperately in their own battle for second, third, and fourth. Matt Travis having no truck with Eric Filgaris there, absolutely not giving him any space. Travis has his sights set now on Bell. Would be for a podium if he could get there.
How much risk do you put on the line here for those 3 more additional points by finishing second versus third versus the big picture thinking of a championship? The answer would be after Indianapolis how precious those points are, so you can't really forecast what's going to happen at a totally different racetrack. Doubleheader weekend there as well.
Trying to follow these class battles, looking on the scoring pylon cars with the black backgrounds behind the numbers. Those are Pro-Am cars.
There's Filgaris, big run there on the front straightaway, trying to get a run on Matt Travis there. Tucks in behind him. Schwartz is doing a great job hanging on to that runner-up position in Pro-Am right now, being hounded by Matt Bell. Brand new race car underneath Matt Bell after they had a huge incident at Road America in the last rounds of our championship.
Filgaris is trying so hard to make his way forward. Time's running out, and there's still so much traffic he's got to get through, even if he can get by Matt Travis, who's no slouch, let's remember. Multi-time champion in this series. Filgaris a champion in his own right, though, at the GT4 and GT3 level.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, you know, if you can do it safely, but don't take any risk, because Grisham's down the way a little bit. Roman DeAngelis, I think, is probably out of reach anyway in terms of track position and pace. Just got to be super smart here. Very calculated driver is Eric Filgaris. He knows all of the math.
Bell looking every which way, trying to find a way past Schwartz. This might be his chance. He gets to the inside, but Johann shuts the door in his face.
68 cars carving his way back through the field.
Matt Travis had a big twitch and then a spin. Don't know if he was helped around. The car behind him was Filgaris. If there was contact, any potential penalty would have big implications on the title. Here's Corey Lewis. You brought that up. He's coming back through the field. This has been an up and down day personified for this team. He's back inside the top 10 overall and picking up a couple more positions. He's got his eyes on a potential podium if he can get to Filgaris.
Yeah, car's absolutely flying, and that's really important for Filgaris to factor in as well. He doesn't want to, we talked about him gaining points, he certainly doesn't want to drop anymore.
Here's Alex Ellis in a fight of his own with Demi Chalkas. The Canadians fighting it out, 10th and 11th overall.
Ellis so impressive here this weekend. Really has had tremendous pace.
Really cool story for him to get to resuscitate his driving career. Looks like he might be someone who is set to come up the open wheel ladder and has been on the outside looking in by and large for over a decade at this point. But he's done a really good job this weekend, ran inside the top 5 much of his stint yesterday. That Ellis in the Porsche, currently chasing an established sports car star in Corey Lewis, who has multiple Sebring 12-hour wins, a Rolex 24. Alex Ellis keeping pace with him on his debut weekend. That speaks volumes.
Yeah, for Phil Garris, he's got Corey Lewis right there. There's no car gapping those two cars, so you know Lewis is going to go on the charge here and try and grab a podium spot.
And he might not have to take it on track because there is an incident being reviewed that involves car 28 and car 47. That's Phil Garris and Travis. We saw the end result. We didn't see what started it. But if there was contact, and if it's on Phil Garris, that could be so costly.
Yeah, that could certainly turn this championship upside down. I mean, as they run right now, it'd be a 12-point gap between Kevin Boehm and Kenton Cook chasing down JCD and Eric Filgaris. But if Eric Filgaris does get awarded any sort of penalty, that could be huge.
Unfortunately, I don't know that we've got a look at that contact except for the tail end that we saw live. So race control will sort through their different views of it. In the meantime, Filgaris sends it up the inside.
Look at Lewis, though. He takes a run around the outside. And,
wow.
Great move by Filgaris, but Corey Lewis just set that up beautifully, timed it to perfection.
Alex Ellis able to follow through, at least on the BMW of James Walker Jr.
Oh, and Filgaris gets into the rear of Corey Lewis there. Similar spot to where Travis went around.
And we saw just in front of that duo, similar contact, the Mercedes of Bell into the Nissan of Schwartz. Gloves have come off inside the final 10 minutes of this anti-penultimate race of the season. 2 races to go after this one at Indianapolis, and championships in all 3 classes still up for grabs.
Yeah, Filgaris fighting for his championship life right now. Alex Ellis is another silver class car right behind him. Could Filgaris suddenly find himself down to P5? And now the warning comes up. Incident responsibility, drive-through penalty for Eric Filgaris.
Drops him from 4th on the road. At least another 2 positions lost. That is huge.
He's 5th right now. It costs you about 34 seconds transitioning down pit lane. Probably the delta's about 25 compared to drivers out on the racetrack.
It's what we often talk about in this championship, the fact that you're frequently mixing it up with cars that are not in your class. How much do you want to risk, especially as a championship contender, to make a pass that doesn't give you any extra points? I know he didn't like seeing Hannah Grisham getting away, and he felt the need to get a move on. But man, that is a tough tightrope to walk, and he goes to the pits.
If there's any salve in the wound here is the fact that I think he may only drop 1 position by taking this penalty, because there's some of the 51 cars are lapped down, so they won't be able to take advantage of the situation.
There's his co-driver, John Capestro Dubats, with a grimace.
Not the weekend they were looking for.
Nope. Some of that is they just didn't seem to have the same pace as some of the front runners this weekend, but some of it has been misfortune, perhaps a little bit self-inflicted. Now trying to limit the damage.
Yeah, see where he comes out. I think he may drop to 6. It would be 8 points compared to 25 points for Kevin Bowen. 17-point swing. That 22-point lead is evaporating.
It would set up a very dramatic finale at Indianapolis as part of the Indy 8-hour weekend. We've seen these GT4 races there consistently be barn burners. I think GT4 and that IMS road course just suit each other so well. Oh, it's going to be fun next month.
Schwartz, been a bit of the cork in the bottle is Matt Bell, trying to rough him up a little bit and force his way through there. But look at this, giving Corey Lewis and company the run. Ellis tries to go with him. Big compression here. Can they all survive and not touch each other?
Johan, the Danish veteran, talked about his drifting prowess earlier. He's not at all afraid to get involved in some wheel-to-wheel racing, coming from the touring car ranks. Not afraid to have that car step out from under him. He's got great car control. Matt Bell throwing everything he's got at him, but Johan Schwartz, unflappable.
He really is. Meanwhile, Roman DeAngelis looking comfortable out front, holds a 1.2-second lead overall on Kevin Boehm. Sits about 12 seconds ahead of Johann Schwartz, who runs in P2 still in that Pro-Am class.
Corey Lewis under threat. Alex Ellis throws it up around the outside, trying the rim shot through Charlotte's Web, but Corey Lewis is having none of that.
No, that was tight. I mean, it looked like it was going to be a brilliant move, but I think Ellis needed to realize he had to give that up a little bit sooner than he did. Just runs off there and loses a little bit of ground, but still super impressive performance by that driver aboard the 77.
Phil Garris has served that penalty, and you're right. Dropped to 5th. Not really a prospect of getting another position back. 5th or 6th? 6th. Schwartz and Bell. Man, this has been good. Couple
really
of
good. There we go. That was nice. That was really nice. Classy move there by Matt Bell. Moves him up to P2.
Woo. That was awfully tight there with Lewis. He felt the need to go because he's under a ton of pressure himself.
Rear bumper has come adrift there on the back end of that Supra.
To the day they've had, if they could come away with a podium. I mean, usually you start first. If you finish 3rd, that's a rough day. But they have been up and down all day long. Had a penalty, had a puncture, have this damage. If Corey can hang on and get him a top 3, yeah, there you go. Race Vision powered by AWS tells the story.
Yeah, just incredible. Been a wild race. It's certainly not what we anticipated in terms of the amount of caution, but nonetheless, been some fantastic battles and great performances. Look at that, Ellis just shoves his way through. He grabs that final spot on the podium, takes it away from Lewis.
And that's the corner where Corey really shut the door on Alex the last time by. And Alex was not afraid to use the chrome horn there. Put the nose to the rear bumper of the Supra. Roman DeAngelis, well, it took strategy to get them out front, but DeAngelis has really not been challenged at all. And I think he will see the white flag this time by. The lead was about a second over Kevin Boehm, but it's bigger than that when you look at the next car in class. It's almost 20 seconds, in fact. There is the white flag for the Canadian, Roman DeAngelis. He and Gray Newell look set to pick up an overall race win here if he can make it around one more time for Kevin Boehm and Kenton Cook. They were runners-up yesterday. This could be a race win at Barber if things continue as they run.
Yeah, and for DeAngelis and Newell, they came into this round of the championship 55 points behind Swearingen and Van Berlo. They score 0 points, 25 for a win. Almost cuts that in half. It's down to 30. Look at this. Argy Bargy going for that final podium spot.
Car 77 behind car 68 for incident responsibility. That's Ellis and Lewis. Okay, so that's why they've swapped positions.
Yeah, I like that call. If they truly believe that there was avoidable contact to make the move. But now he tries to keep it a little bit cleaner this time. Gets to the inside once again on Corey.
The rule does say you got to give it up for a couple of corners. I don't know if that happened or not. It's not done yet. Lewis and Ellis leaning on each other. They make it through with the Supra out in the lead.
It's awesome stuff. Yeah, the way these corners are numbered here, sometimes you get corners rolling by at a rapid rate, and sometimes you cover a lot of real estate before the turn number changes.
Whoa. Ellis goes a bit wide. That's all happening behind this man. Roman DeAngelis and Gray Newell score overall win in race 2 at Barber Motorsports Park. Kevin Boehm teams up with Kenton Cook and Random Vandals on a day when 2 of their cars failed to finish. The 3rd car finishes at the front of the silver class. Ellis and Lewis again trading paint off of turn 17, and at the line, Corey Lewis hangs on for the final step of the podium.
That's what you call a scrap right there.
And in the AM class, this is out of the Smooth Racing camp, the Krug Speed car across the line. Anthony Girazzi and Lance Bergstein gallop to the AM class win. Just outstanding.
Trying to look at where Chris Wilson's car is. I think they are 15 laps down with 30 laps covered by the leaders. They might just be there. That's 50% in my eyes, but we're waiting
Agreed.
to get official. And that is huge for Chris Wilson's championship aspirations if he should get classified and score points.
So it would be 4th place points, right? That would be 12. So it's a matter of 12 or none. And the rule says you have to go to the 50% mark of, is it the overall leader or the class leader? I don't know that it matters in this case. I don't think it does. Bergstein was the class winner. He was on the overall lead lap. Well, a whole lot to sift through, and I'm glad we've got a couple of weeks to do it. We'll turn up at Indianapolis with championships in all 3 classes, about as close as you can ask for. Really, really cool stuff. Pirelli GT4 America, yeah, we had a long yellow flag at the beginning of this race, but once we got going, that is why GT4 racing is flourishing around the globe. Let's stress provisional here when we talk about provisional race results. A lot still to factor through. Gray Newell, Roman DeAngelis, winners overall by a 2nd over Kevin Bowman, Kitten Cook, the winners in the silver class. Part of racing. Good day for them. Double podium, nearly a double race win. Hannah Grisham, Hannah Greenmeyer coming home 2nd in the silver class. Alex Vogel, Matt Bell, good result for them too. 2nd in Pro-Am. And Corey Lewis, Tyler Gonzalez do complete the podium. We did get a message from race control that the 77 was deemed to have served that penalty to get behind the 68 car. Then we saw the battle resume again, and Corey Lewis was able to fend off the Canadian Alex Ellis. How about the AM class? 12th overall for Anthony Girazzi and Lance Bergstein. Really good result for that duo. Played strategy very well at that opening yellow to get them to the lead. It wasn't entirely clear at the time how they did it, but the important thing is they did. And they take home maximum points in that class. Chris Walsh, Nick Shanny, a good result for them. 2nd place, that's big for Nick as he tries to solidify his final points position. And Lee Carpentier and David Peterman are on the podium for NOLA Sport. They finish in the 3rd spot. Wow, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, a lot to work through there.
That's for sure. There's Roman DeAngelis, the tall Canadian, embracing his teammate and protege, Gray Newell. These two have been working together for nearly a year and a half now. It's been a really good pairing. Helpful for Gray, too, in his continued development.
Yeah, and this is the new Evo. GT4 car from Aston Martin, so great to see them break through for their first victory here in SRO competition, at least.
It's a good-looking car. And that Heart of Racing team, what a week they've had. You go back a week ago today, they were winning the LMGT3 category at the World Endurance Championship race at Circuit of the Americas with team boss Ian James as part of the driving force there. In fact, put that car on pole for that race. And of course, also in the process of bringing their Valkyrie hypercar project online for next year too. It's a hard-earned win in the Pro-Am class. They'll be relishing this one, especially from 26th on the grid. Let's hear from race winners now, starting with Amanda Busick.
Yeah, guys, the celebrations are down here for race number 2 at Barber Motorsports Park for this class. And, well, it was an interesting one as we got through it, Gray. And I know from your perspective, not much that you got to see in that race, but just the overall effort. I know a brand new car this weekend.
Yeah, that was, I don't think I can take much credit for that one because really all I did was not get collected in that massive crash there. On the radio, we're just coming through and Ian very calmly gets on and says, car spun ahead, and I come over the crest to World War III unfolding right in front of me and somehow managed to get through it. A lot of people didn't, but and then our team just nailed the strategy perfectly. They were doing the math the whole time, doing the math, and it ended up perfect, and here we are. So I'll take that one.
When you think of the survivability, you did play a role in that. And Roman, as he just said, you guys hit it all over the bit on the strategy to be the driver of that and to see it through. How much satisfaction's there?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, obviously we're kind of one of the teams that's going off strategy here in the Pro-Am class. myself qualifying and starting with the AMs in race 1, and vice versa in race 2. We needed that yellow kind of saved us, and then obviously the guys making the right call to box us early and basically jump everyone from. We were pretty far back after the accident in the beginning, and Gray did a great job avoiding that, but good to get a win. Obviously just trying to get some points here for the championship as what's most important. Wins are great, but championship wins are even more better. So yeah, great job by the Heart of Racing to make those strategy calls, and here we are. So
congratulations to the Heart of Racing team. And as we move over to the Random Vandals entry in Pro-Am, and guys, we know this one's going to come down to Indy. And Kevin, when I talked to you yesterday, you guys wanted to see better results, and you found it today.
Yeah, I mean, it's nerve-wracking when you see so much yellow at the beginning, especially when you're not the guy in the car, because you know that it's going to rely more on you that day. But I knew the Random Vandals had us a good car today, so I was just excited to get in and see what it felt like, because he didn't really get any laps to tell me. But yeah, I mean, it's to get this result today. I mean, it's I think these have been coming. They've just been out of our grasp a few times, and yeah, I don't think this is going to be the last one, I hope.
We'll see how it goes down to Indianapolis as we move over to Krugsport that got a win here, their first of the season. I'm sure Anthony Duraci is going to be fired up on this one. And, sir, it comes right here for the win. I know it wasn't necessarily the most eventful one, but how will you remember the day?
Oh, it was amazing. We had a great strategy, and we got really lucky at that start. I mean, the collision was just out of control. But Lance had a lot of pressure behind him. He did a great job. Very proud of him.
Sir Lancelot with the win here today, picking up that nice nickname. I know Ryan's dropped it a couple times today, but just in terms of the battles, you guys are in the thick of it. How did survivability become the word of the day?
Yeah, I mean, the guys at Smooth just gave me such a good race car at the end of the race. Like on old tires, I felt like I could push, and we had pace, and we were running our race. There were cars around me not in our class, and we just had the big picture, and we executed, so it was awesome.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done for that group, and sign of things to come. They're really, really excited about what the future holds with that new tie-in with Smooge Racing, and it starts off just the second weekend with a bang. Well, let's see what we have in this highlight package. Take your pick. We had plenty of action, that's for sure. It really started with the run into turn 1. Pretty good getaway for the BMW, but further back in the pack, contact there. Anderson into Kai Van Berlo, and 8 cars in total involved in this melee. A number of championship contenders eliminated either right there or subsequently due to some fallout from that incident. Many drivers took a chance to pit under the yellow. It was a split strategy because of the timing of that yellow, and that mixed up the grid. That is Lance Bergstein going wide from the overall lead of the race. They still held on to win in the AM class. Fight for the lead in silver. It was a great duel. Hannah Grisham, Kevin Boehm, they went side by side for half a lap. Kevin Boehm ultimately took the lead and the win in that class. Now the restart late in the race. This was a dramatic moment, one of several that we had here. The recovery there for the Smooge Racing car was remarkable. They were on the back foot, but at the front of the field, strategy played to perfection. Heart of Racing gets the victory in the Pro-Am class. It's Random Vandals that gets the win in silver, and Krug Speed with Smooge victorious in AM here at Barber.